Let me tell you why the establishment is scared to death of black progressives in particular. And then female progressives, and most of all, black female progressives. Because they're used to using certain figureheads, and that goes to the point that Anna made about the cult of personality, and saying Nancy Pelosi represents all women. And so if you're against Nancy Pelosi, that means you're against women. James Clyburn represents all African Americans. So all African Americans should vote the way that Clyburn tells them. All women should vote the way that Pelosi and Hillary Clinton tell them. And if you don't, then you're sexist or you're racist. Well, they have trouble making that argument against black progressives. And now let me focus even more specifically on black progressives. Because black voters decide Democratic primaries. They certainly do in national elections because of the overwhelming importance of South Carolina and the South in Super Tuesday. Now, by the way, that's not an accident. The establishment basically decides which states go first, and they pack the beginning of the Democratic primaries with southern states because their Democratic voters are predominantly African American. Once you have control of the Congressional Black Caucus through people like Clyburn, then you could just tell everybody, Black America is for this candidate and they are not for the other candidate. But when you have a black progressive, that destroys that talking point. So in this case, you've got Nina Turner, and they so desperately want to say that no, if you're black, you should vote against Nina Turner, and if you're a woman, you should vote against Nina Turner, but they can't say it. And that's another reason why Nina Turner drives them nuts. Because if African Americans in this country find out that the progressive position is their position, then the corporate Democrats are in a world of trouble. They cannot lose that vote. It'll not only undermine them in specific elections like Ohio's 11th, but then their strategy of South Carolina and Super Tuesday helping the establishment and being their firewall will be destroyed. That is why it's so important for black progressives to break through. And if they do, then they will be able to put out a message that counters the corporate Democrats, counters the establishment, and that's kryptonite to them. So that's my take on it. Rashad, what's your take on that analysis?
I agree 100%, brother. And here's what has happened for decades. For decades, the black leaders, many of them that we have celebrated in America, were handpicked by the white oppressors that we fight. Handpicked, funded, endorsed, and we think that somehow we get a different outcome. Now that's the working definition of insanity, right? To do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. What happens in this really ironic and quite perverted reality of supporting those who are supported by those who don't support us is that when we engage with them, when we contribute to them, when we give them support through our vote, we in fact start financing our own oppression. And in financing our own oppression, we are picking the leaders who create the policy that continues to oppress the progress of black people. Now, I do remind everyone that there is no finality in democracy, or at least there shouldn't be. We're not at a dictatorship, at least not yet. And because there's no finality in democracy, every election you participate in, every election you have the ability to engage in, even if your candidate does not win, it is still a win for democracy as long as we continue to keep democracy alive and well, which by the way, obviously Republican states are trying to take that away by the minute by picking who actually counts the vote rather than the voters actually picking the politician. So I think there's something to be said obviously about current black leadership, but it's not just current black leadership. This has been historical. I'll take you to the crime bill. When the crime bill was signed into law by Democrats, supported by Democrats, it was a whole lot of black people, a lot of black leaders who supported that crime bill as well. Many of them have received convenient amnesia as it relates to that crime bill. Now, collectively, in hindsight, every black leader I talk with who was present during that time, they say that was a mistake. Well, not only was it a mistake then, it's a mistake now to not support progressive policies. It not only hurts the Black community, it hurts us as a collective, because when you look at the commonality of what we believe as a nation, most Americans, item by item, policy by policy, they lean progressive. So how are we losing the progressive messaging battle when most Americans are actually on our side if we lead with a policy first agenda?
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.